Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe's Classic Video Games back with another cool radio repair, amateur repair video for you this evening. So I have been working on this General Electric 480 tube radio, and I don't know what I'm doing. But this is our third video. I'm going real slow, and I'm trying to learn how to work on tube radios because they're cool to me. I've got a whole bunch of radios. None of them work. But in the last video, believe it or not, I was able to get this thing to tune in a station. So it works. But I'd kind of like to get it back in the cabinet and playing, right? So in the first video, we kind of looked it over, and I got the thing to amplify volume. Of course, I'm running it through this Variac here, and we very carefully did that to make sure that it wouldn't blow the fuse in the Variac and that the old school capacitors didn't short something out and burn the house down. That didn't happen, but there's always tonight. Then in the second video, I couldn't get any kind of reception. So in the second video, we found the right schematics, because the first video I had been using the wrong schematics the entire time. In the second video, we were able to find the correct schematics, and then I went through and I checked voltages. I found our voltage coming out of our rectifier tube is low as crap, because something's drawing so much amperage that it's shorting at the ground and lowering the voltage. Nonetheless, I checked the tubes. So I checked the resistors. I went through and checked all the resistors. I found 2 or 3 that are just slightly out of spec. The worst one was this one here, coming off of one of the windings of the primary on the output transformer. It's off 40%, but you know, I don't think that's the end of the world, but we're going to replace it. But then I started checking the tubes on my tube tester, and rectifier tubes tested fine. I swapped one anyway. Output tube tested fine. It can, you know, not great, but it's all right. And then these 4 all tested weak as crap. So I swapped those 4 and was able to tune in a station at the end of the previous video. So I know you're not supposed to power them up with the old filter cap and the old capacitors, right? Because they could short, cause all kinds of problems. But I'm carefully doing it. I carefully did it because I'm trying to learn, right? If you just go through and replace all the capacitors, what are you going to learn? You're not going to learn a damn thing. So essentially, I fixed the radio, and now I'm going to replace the capacitors, right? I don't want to do just a shotgun. Of course, they all need replaced, right? But I don't want to do just a shotgun replacement and then not learn what any of them do. You know, I want to go through it one at a time and figure it out. So that's what we're going to do in this video. I'm going to one at a time replace the capacitors and then turn it back on and see what she sounds like. Now, the whole time I've been talking to you, this Variac is actually powered up right now. So I did a video already where we fixed this up just a little bit. There wasn't much. I didn't fix much. We just tested it, basically, and I replaced this power jack that somebody had hacked in here. I hacked another one in. Remember, folks, amateur. I said amateur repair time. Don't do any of this. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm trying to learn, okay? By the way, one of the tubes was this 12BA6, which is either the IF amp or the RF amp. I got them mixed up. I don't know which one it was. But one of these two 12BA6s is stone cold dead. So that was probably the reason that it couldn't tune in any stations, right? With a tested good one in there. I replaced all 4 of these at the same time. With a tested 4 good ones in there, it would tune in a station. So here's what I'm going to do. We're going to turn it on one last time on this old filter capacitor, just so you can all cringe a little harder, right? because I want to get a starting point where I can show you what the thing sounds like, and then we're going to go through and replace all of the caps. Now, I promise you, I'm going to replace the filter cap very first thing, but we're going to turn it on right now with the old caps on it, okay? So here we go. Hopefully it doesn't explode and turn this into an electro boom situation. And again, you know, this is the first, this is the third tube radio I've worked on, but I don't know what I'm doing. All right, so when it comes on, I've noticed the light shines brightly for a second and then it dims out. All right, if you give it a second, you'll get a hum from hell. Where do I have it? Yeah, there we go.
Regularly open the mail and reported on its contents. In other words, they functioned as spies.
Right.
And so the founders disagreed on whether there should be establishment in the new nation that they were setting up, and they debated the question for nearly 20 years. In the beginning, the post office was a rather small operation.
Okay, so we've got some kind of, it's working, but it's barely working. It ain't working good, okay? So we're going to try to go through and fix it up. Now, the channels I've been watching, now I don't want to put anybody out on blast here. There's a lot of guys that really know their stuff. Of course, Mr. Carlson's lab, guy knows everything about electronics, basically. He can fix anything, okay? So I've watched a lot of his stuff. I have never been to school to learn any of this stuff. My background is I work on arcade games, pinball machines, and jukeboxes. And I'm okay at fixing those, right? That's my job, actually. So I've got a little bit of electronic knowledge, just enough to be dangerous, okay? But I've only worked on a few tube radios. So that's my background. I never went to school for it or anything. Whenever I'm showing people how to fix pinball machines and stuff, sometimes I get from certain people, they'll say, I don't know anything about them. I don't know where to start. Boy, I wish I knew how to do that, stuff like that. So I kind of wanted to start doing videos like this, just showing you, you don't have to know what you're doing. I clearly do not know what I'm doing. I've got a radio here that's not super valuable. If I burn the whole freaking thing up, it won't be the end of the world. But I don't think I'm going to do that because I researched it a little bit before I did it, and I'm going to try to learn how to do it, right? So I'm going through and we're learning. So that's what these 3 videos have been. So now we're about to learn about filter capacitors, right? So Mr. Carlson's laboratory, of course, he knows a lot about a lot when it comes to electronics. So that's one guy that you can check out. One of the things he does, though, is he works on really high-end stuff. And I don't. I'm like, all the stuff I like is like low-end stuff. So I've been collecting all these radios for years. I like clocks, too. I got a bunch of clocks. But none of them work. Right? I might have 1 or 2 transistor ones that work, but I don't have any tube ones that work that I know of because most of them I don't even plug in. I just think they're cool. So I'm going to try to fix them. But so this was the first one. This is the first candidate. So I'm trying to prove the point that when people tell you like to stay in your lane and, oh, you don't know what you're doing and all that, to hell with those people. How are you ever going to know what you're doing if you don't try it, you know? So I think that's one of the reasons that a lot of these channels on YouTube exist that are showing you this stuff, because they, you know, they're trying to get people to save more of these things. That's one of the reasons we do our pinball repair videos. I can't fix all of the pinball machines. There's a bunch of them all over the place, and I can't go fix all of them. It takes me a while to fix one anyway, right? So I don't mind if people use the information I give them in the videos to go fix pinball machines. So, doesn't mean they do it the right way or that they know what they're doing, but hey, maybe they'll mess around, and even a blind squirrel finds a nut sometimes, right? So that's kind of what's going on here. So this is very amateur. Don't do what I'm doing, but Mr. Carlson's lab, and then Shango 066. That guy's awesome. I really like him. I like how he works on just junk. Like he'll get stuff that's been left out in the desert for 30 years and fix it up. So I like that. I like Radio TV Phono Nut. That guy is great. I like his style, you know, and he seems to kind of be into the same kind of stuff that I like too. So he's a cool channel to watch. He really knows his stuff. Radio Rescue, that guy's great. There's a bunch of channels. I don't want to leave anybody out, but you can look here on YouTube for people that really know what they're doing. Jordan Piers, he really knows his stuff. And those are people that know what they're doing. They have an education in this, you know. So don't watch this video trying to figure out how to do this. This is strictly for entertainment. We're trying to learn here and get better at something, okay? So I'm going to unplug the power from it, and we're going to get rid of this filter cap once and for all, and then we're going to put a new one in there. 2 of them, actually. So let me cut it out, and we'll go from there. So the first thing I had to do was get a hold of Just Radios, right? They sell resistors, they sell radio parts. So I bought a whole bag of stuff from Just Radios. So we've got safety caps, filter caps. Now, what I usually do is, so I needed a safety cap on this radio because the old one I cut off just so it wouldn't blow up on me. So I needed some. So I just ordered, you know, like 10 of them. I only need 1, but now I got some backup, right? And then I needed some filter caps, some 47s and some 100s. So I ordered like 10 of them, each of them, or something like that. Right? Now I got some backups. And then I didn't have any heat shrink tube, so I ordered some spaghetti. So I got some now. There was a couple resistors burn up, and I kind of liked how you can get the old school carbon resistors from Just Radios. So carbon composition, they call it there. So they have a kit and everything, but I just ordered the ones that I need right now. But I got extras, so next time I'll have them, right? And then this was a bigger one, 2 watt. Oh, I got some dowel string, a bunch of different sizes. There's 3 different sizes. So I got some dowel string because the dowel string's broke, but I didn't know which size I needed. So, the other caps. I already have a bunch of the other caps that I've ordered from before. So, that's kind of how I do it. I just order a little bit of time here and there. So I got those coming. Now, I've cut out this old school cap. I saw a video from Radio TV Phononut where he was just kind of showing how he does it. And so we're going to do it similar to that. Or I think this is how he does it. I left the leads on there a little bit just in case later we want to try to test the thing. Okay. And so the original was 50 and 100. 50 and 100. But they were in the same big paper wax capacitor with a common ground. So we're making one out of these electrolytics with a common ground. So I've just attached the one ground to the other. I put a little bit of my spaghetti. Heat shrink tubing would probably be better, but I ordered the wrong thing. But that'll work too. You're just trying to keep it from shorting to anything. So I put a little bit of that on there. And then we're going to attach our 3 wires here, here, and here. And if I had heat shrink tubing, I could slide it down over the edge of them. But I don't. I don't know if that spaghetti's big enough to go over the end of those wires either. Maybe I got some somewhere. Let me keep looking. I might find some. But, so that's basically what we're doing. So we're replacing that cap with these 2. And then we're going to just kind of zip tie it to the original bracket. And that's the cleanest way that I can see to do it. Radio TV Phononut was saying that's how he does it sometimes if it's got that kind of bracket. You can put a terminal strip and all of that, but if you've already got the bracket there, I don't see anything wrong with that, as long as the wires are protected. So we'll try that. But let me go see if I can find some heat shrink tubing. Well, I have no heat shrink tubing here. I yelled out the window asking the neighbor for heat shrink tubing, and he flipped me off. I don't even want to talk about it. So I'll have to get some tomorrow. I got some at the shop, but I don't have any here. So we're going to ghetto it up and put a little teeny bit, a tiny bit of electrical tape on it to cover it for now, okay? It's going to be all right, folks. Don't worry about it. I'm going to fix it. Don't worry about it. This is amateur repair time, okay? So if anybody's watching this to get up the gumption to work on something themselves, they see, look, even people like me do that, right? So it's going to be okay. Okay, so that's that one. Then we've got the 47 one and the 100 one. So I got to be very careful. The 100 is red. But I need to confirm that it connects to R20, an 18 ohm resistor. Just to make sure, you know, because what if the schematics are wrong and you do it backwards and it blows something up right in my face? So here we have an 18 ohm resistor. Yeah, so that's right. So the red is connecting to it. And then it looks like the other side comes up here maybe to the transformer. So that's one. And it comes up here to the transformer. Yeah, so we're cool. All right, so that's the 100 microfarad connection. All right, and the yellow one connects to the other one. I put some electrical tape to dress the other two. We'll put a little electrical tape on that, and then we'll zip tie it to that little holder in there and make sure everything looks happy and nothing's touching something it shouldn't touch. Okay, so we're gonna leave those hanging for now because I'll just have to take them back out again if I put heat shrink tubing on them, and I've got to change other caps, so I might have to take that board out or something. But I think we're ready to test it. What do you think? Is it gonna blow up in our face? I don't think it is. Let's reread this to make sure we got it right. Black is the common, negative. Yellow is the 50. Red is the 100. So the yellow, of course, I put a 47. And that, you know, you can get these new that have both caps in them, but they're like 10 times more money. So why do that? All right, so here we go. If she blows up, you probably won't see it unless I get out of the hospital, because I'm the one who edits these together. Are we plugged in? Yeah, we're plugged in. I think we've still got the same problem with the voltage being low because the light is still real dim on the back there. So something is drawing the voltage down.
I told the teacher, I said, hey, I want to be in the regular class. One, because I want to play soccer, like in two.
Okay, that did get rid of most of the hum. Maybe all the hum.
I want to learn to speak English. I want to do everything in English. And I'm not going to learn, no offense, but I'm not going to learn how to speak English when you're teaching me everything in Spanish. And everything that I'm reading is in Spanish. So I remember vividly, she said, this is your first day.
Yeah, that pretty much got rid of it all.
This is your first day, so I don't know how you're drawing those conclusions. And this is not for you. It's not for you to decide. It's for your parents to decide. And I just politely asked. I said, well, how different is this going to be tomorrow? And
okay, so I want to check the voltage that we had here and here to see if any of that has changed. This bulb was only giving me 2.7 volts. That's why it's so dim. Oh, look.
North side of Odessa to the south side of Odessa.
It's actually brightened back up once it charged up the caps. Let's see. Yeah, that probably fixed that part of it. So maybe the caps just had to be charged before that would get, I don't know.
Mom went over there and said, put them in regular classes, and that's when life began for me.
Yeah, so our voltages are going to be much better now.
I remember going to class for the
Very
first time.
Very cool. Okay, let me get I got the multimeter right
Not
here.
knowing much at all, other than how to say my
Let me see if I can check it. You know, I don't really have a steady hand. Okay, so apparently that was the problem. So I had 112 volt here. I've now adjusted it up to 121. But the reason I had 112 is because that's just where I had the variac set. So now I'm up to 121. The line voltage here at the house is more like 125. So, you know, so that's what we're going with. So that's what's going into the rectifier. Once we get on this side, we had 94 volts. Now we were a little low, so it would have been, but now I've got 123 volts instead of 125. So that's just fine. And then after it runs through this resistor, it drops it just a little bit. It's 121 volts. And of course, these are DC. Right. Because they've been rectified. All right. Let me check the light bulb too. See if we get a healthy light bulb voltage. All right. So I don't completely get this, but instead of we had 2.7, now I've got 3.8 volts AC. Make sure that my parents and everyone in my family, all of us are American citizens. Oh, you know what though? I'm going from the wrong leg. I'm going to the ground here. I should go to the other one. Let me check again. Well, it's 3.82 volts. It's a number 44 bulb, which is I think 6.2 volts, but you know, you can run it on whatever. But you know, that's the same ones in pinball machines, and it looks like it's at full voltage to me, so I don't know. But I'm measuring 3.8 volts. So whatever, we're gonna move right along. So I think we're good here with our voltages, and we've got our 2 filter caps changed. I'm gonna add this across the line cap back in, right where it was. Don't worry folks, I left where it was. I know where it goes. I took that off just so that it wouldn't, if it shorted because it's old, it would have you know, maybe blew up, so I took that off. So we're going to put it right back where it was, which is...
You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medication. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you. And then
that's one leg of the power cord, which is in good shape, by the way.
GoodRx works right there. 20,000 pharmacies,
and right.
Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens. And it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription,
so I'll J-hook those and we'll put it back in. Okay, so here's the one I cut off in the first video because you don't really even need it. It's just to get rid of more hum and interference. And then whenever I was already planning on cutting it off, just, you know, if that thing shorts, it's straight across the AC lines. This one goes in, and if the radio's on, it's connected to B minus. And then the cap is too, that's AC, and then the other AC line's connected to the other side of the cap. So if that thing shorts, it's explosive. So it's a 0.047 microfarad 500 volt DC, right? So I ordered these 0.05, and it's 275 volts AC. So much better. No, 250 volt AC. Okay, so I think we're good there. Yep, so that's next. So I got those, and like I said, I ordered some extras. I also ordered some extras of 0.01s, I think. Yeah, 0.01, just because they're real common. All right, so here we go. Let's see if it blows up. Okay, yeah, look at the light. So I think we've still got a cap somewhere. Of course, we're working through them, but I think we've still got a cap somewhere that's causing us problems.
Their loved one has died.
Here it comes.
The loved one comes to them and says goodbye, always very positive. And sometimes the dreamer knew the person was unwell, but other times they did not.
Okay.
Most of our normal dreams, George, we don't remember them. Brief dreams and their messages of love can remain clear in our minds and leave us greatly comforted.
So it's like quiet as a mouse now. I mean, there's just a little bit, but you're never going to get rid of that. It's on the signal, I think. It sounds like it's We're hearing the ambience in the room of the guy doing the show. Is that George Norrie?
Cast network, by the way. An exorcist said a nun ran up the wall like a squirrel after demons took over her body. The Reverend Daniel Rehel performs exorcisms on people who he says have been possessed by the devil, and recently revealed some of the scariest things.
I told you I didn't have any radios that work. I've never heard this before. Let me listen to more.
Large men to hold her down. Amazing. Company.
All right, so that takes care of that. Next thing I would like to do is get rid of this 1K resistor here that has ballooned up to 1.4K. So I'm going to swap it with a new one, if I can find it. It has a yellow wire going to it. It has two yellow wires going to it. One here and one here. Hmm. 1K must be that one. That must be the 1.4K. Okay. All right. So I got that swapped in. I didn't have to worry about the spaghetti tubing because it's in there pretty good and can't move really. I left a little air gap like they had on theirs. And I've been doing the J-hook thing. I heard Shango saying he always does that. And when he said it, he was saying it's because he doesn't want to burn up the places, the pads where the thing goes to, and he doesn't want to overheat. He doesn't want to overheat like what he's soldering to. And at the time, because I've worked on a lot of arcade games, pinball machines and stuff like that. And whenever he said that, I thought, well, I don't really worry about it that much. I'm all right at soldering. I don't think I'll worry about that. I'll just put it in the original location. And if you see here, the one I did on the first video, I did put in the original location. Right? But the thing is, whenever there's 2 or 3 things already in there, if you get that too hot, that's going to fall out of that old Bakelite board or whatever that PB well, it's not a PCB because it's not printed, but you know. So I kind of see what he's saying now. I mean, if I don't really want to overheat it, so I just did the same thing, J-hooked it. Because really, I mean, who are you kidding? You just look at that resistor, you can tell it's modern. So as long as it's fairly clean and it's making a good connection, I don't really see the problem with it. You know, I'm going to sit this on my shelf. I'm the only person that's ever going to see it anyway. Now, if I was making a video and like showing this or something and putting it on YouTube where everybody could. All right, I'll have to remember to edit that out. Okay, so we're going to turn it back on. I got the resistor replaced. We're going to turn it back on and see if the see if it changes anything. I don't see where it really would, but maybe. Light did the same little trick. Comes on bright. Goes back down. You don't see it again until the tubes warm up.
Plants. And the whole world has recognized that the pollution from coal burning just is far worse than almost anything else. So what you're seeing is the oil companies hedging their bets, knowing that they're not going to be able to keep supplying natural gas. And the way they want to get around that is electrify the country and power it with their coal or nuclear. Okay? So
we're not allowed to talk about that. I'm not going to get my channel deleted. Okay, so I don't think that made much difference. Maybe. The tone circuit, that's not the tone circuit. So I don't even know what that's doing. Maybe I should go figure it out. What do you think? So it looks like if this is switched to phono, you disconnect this, which is basically disconnecting the first IF can. And I don't know if that's the oscillator or the I don't know the difference, right? So it's basically taking the front end out if it's on phono. So is that our, what is that? I need to look that up. Got 55 volts coming out of that. Ooh, that's our AVC. Is that the AVC? I don't know. Let me go do some research, see if I can figure out what that is. Okay, so I did some more research. So basically the power is coming from here, and it's on this one line. This is the B+. And if you look, all it connects to on this particular set is this transformer. But you've got these two other taps on it. So basically that voltage there, which is 121 volts, is going to also be there and there. They've got it as 115 up here. So I guess maybe it's, well, I don't know. I don't know that the, I don't know. I don't know from this tap to that tap of the transformer would lower it, but I guess. Or it could be because of the whatever. So anyway, so that voltage would also be present here. So basically you're 125 or so here, and then it runs through the resistor because, and then they've got that other side of the filter cap there because they're trying to lower the screen grid voltage. So they want it to be 95 because it needs to be lower than the plate voltage, I believe. So they're just using it to basically this is just a tap of the B+, and they're running it through a resistor so that they can get the screen grid voltage out of it. So you got 95 there. And then this one, it runs through another resistor, which lowers it to 55. Okay. And this one jumps over. It's 95 there, screen grid. And then if you're on radio, you now have screen grid voltage at the converter. And you've got screen grid voltage at this RF amp. So if that resistor was out of spec, which it was, that wouldn't have been 95. It would have been more like, I don't know. It wouldn't have, it may have been 85 or something. So I don't know what that would have, how that would have affected it. It's not the AVC. The AVC, I think, is this. Wait, no. No. I don't know what I'm doing, obviously. Yeah, maybe. Oh, yeah, it's this line that goes through. Yeah, it is that. This goes through this resistor. So I don't know so basically if that screen voltage was lower, it might have messed up the sensitivity. So let's try it. Let's try it again. Now that we've replaced that resistor, let's see if it's raised up that voltage and if we get a little better reception or what happens. Oh, and the light bulb thing, since that comes off of that rectifier tube, until the tube warms up, I guess it would do that, wouldn't it? So I don't think there's any way around that. I think that's probably just how they all are. Whenever you first turn them on, the lights dim.
To talk to George Norrie, call the Wildcard line at 818-501-4109. The first-time caller line is 818-501-4721. To talk toll-free from east of the Rockies, call 800-825-5033. From west of the Rockies, toll-free, call 800-618-8255.
Boy, it's got some freaking
Skype, use Skype name George
volume now.
97313. Send George a text message anytime at 818-298-6521. This is Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie.
Next hour, investigative reporter Cheryl
So if that screen voltage was low, would that affect the ability of the tubes to amplify? Or would we? Yeah, because the screen voltage is on the output too.
It's a program. If you were a Coast Insider, you'd never miss.
So that might get you some volume if that resistor's messed up and you swap it. It's starting to sound pretty good, I think. All right. Okay, so next up, tuning through it. The thing has no sensitivity at all. I can get this channel, but it's the only channel I can get. And the reason that I can get the channel is because that's a clear channel, 50,000 watt station that as the crow flies is like 5 miles from here. Like if you go that way about 5 miles, there's a 50,000 watt station, and this is the one we're getting. So it's really not that impressive yet. So I think maybe we'll start with some of the other caps and see if it changes anything, or if it's just way out of alignment. But I hate to align it until we replace all the caps. It might be something like that. And I could check some of these voltages, I guess. I need to start checking some of that to see if I can track something down. All right, so I'm replacing them as I find them. That appears to be this coupling capacitor. And it didn't change anything, which makes sense because all of the tuning is already done by the time you get to here, folks. That ain't gonna do nothing. If you're getting noise, if you're getting sounds, that's probably all right. I guess it would make it all distorted, but it didn't clear it up or anything. It sounds pretty clear right now, so I don't think that would have anything to do with it. It's gonna be one of the caps back here, but I'm figuring out which one's which as I go through. All right, so I replaced this one resistor here, which is this one. It was 182, so you know, it's 50% out of spec. So I replaced it, no change at all. That was on the IF amp though, so I thought maybe that would have something to do with it. Nothing. Doesn't matter a bit. This one can go crazy and it doesn't change anything. All right, so I'm down to, well, I've got a couple tone caps, but there's a 0.05 and a 0.05 here. This one just connects the B- to the chassis. So it's like it floats it up above the chassis. The chassis has nothing connected to it on the schematics, just the B-. So it's not a hot chassis, I suppose. And then this one is, I think, the AVC charging cap or whatever that's called. Okay, so I've got two of them here. This point is a ground, so one connects from here over to this is it a ground? Oh yeah, that's how I could tell. One connects from there over to here, which is the screws that mount the tuning capacitor. So I don't know if they're counting that as chassis or not. I don't know. So I think that may be the AVC one. I don't know. And then this one connects from here, which is ground, to whatever this is, which looks like maybe that's some kind of chassis connection, or it could just be they're using that just as a jumper to get to this black line that disappears under the board and goes who knows where. But I changed this one. Absolutely no change in performance at all. Okay, so here in my office, I've got this sweet old school Zenith alarm clock, and as you would imagine, this thing just works perfect. Right? There's no problems. So I've got it on AM, and it's just using the regular antenna. So I'm trying to figure out how many AM stations I should be able to pick up, right? So if we start at the bottom. Now I'm just assuming this is probably about all you can get, whatever this little Zenith a 70s model radio can get, right? So if we go through, there's something way down. And then you get to about 700, and it's that's like some kind of ESPN radio. Okay, it comes in pretty good. There's something above it just a little bit. You're getting something at about 1,000.
People believe that there have been favors granted to them. So there is that. But
There's another one. And then here in the background, you start hearing like some whee. It almost sounds like the signal. Hear that? But there are little channels all through here. And then you get a giant channel at 1110.
15,000 people would gather the very next day at the official dedication ceremony of the National Cemetery on the site of one of the bloodiest and most decisive.
Okay. So you're getting, there's a real strong channel at about 700 and there's a strong one at 1110. So after aligning it the best I could, if I start at the bottom, I didn't align the antenna yet, or the, well, maybe I should. That might be my problem. But here's what I get on this one. So we're basically starting at the bottom, 600, 550, whatever. So that's the one at 700. There was one right above that on the other radio. So that's ESPN radio or whatever. There's something there, but you can barely hear it. And then there's that signal that I was hearing. It almost sounds like the signal generator, which is unplugged and turned off. So there's something there.
Unbearable.
And then we get up to 1110.
The piles of limbs, dripping blood,
Ugh.
the dying, the dead.
What happened?
hell on earth.
Where?
It was a brutal battle with over 80,000 casualties.
Horrible.
But it was also a pivotal battle.
So 1110 is a huge 50,000 watt station right down the road. It's like 5 miles from here, the towers, right? So of course you get it good. So all I get on this one is the 700 ESPN and this 1110, and it comes in good.
President Lincoln, too, understood the importance of the speech he was about to give.
So I can't get any of those other little minor channels that are just before it that you heard on that Zenith over there. And I would think that Zenith doesn't have anything. I don't think that's really a high-end radio. I guess for an alarm clock, it's kind of high-end. But so with no external antenna, I don't know if this is as good as that it's really going to get, or should I be getting performance similar to that Zenith over there, that little alarm clock, solid state, right? So I had a record player with an AM radio in it that I previously did, and I basically had the same problem. I get 2 stations. I need to try it in the daytime and see if I get more, but you would think you'd get more at nighttime. So I don't know if this is acceptable. This is just as good as it's going to get on old radio like this with no external antenna, or if I'm still off.
Then Lincoln wrote.
So,
As he was heading back to his seat, the photographer had just opened the shutter. There were no pictures of Lincoln giving his most famous address.
So I don't know, but I think, it works. It's just, it doesn't have hardly any sensitivity. So I'm going to mess with the antenna screw next, just to make sure that doesn't change anything, but we'll see. All right, I think I fixed it. I figured it out. Check this out.
Some of the most expensive attorneys.
These are dead.
So that's 1110, the big papa. Big papa.
They gave the last full measure of devotion.
Okay, so this is the antenna screw adjustment, right?
Shall not have died in vain. That this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom.
So what I did was I loosened it a little bit. Somebody had it all the way in. I loosened it a little bit, and it seemed like this channel got a little bit louder. And now whenever I tune it off 1110, you do get other channels just like the Zenith. It's pretty much the same. None of them really come in that good, but neither does it on the Zenith. Right? So that antenna screw really does change this. So I'll tighten it back up so you can see. Well, you know what it was? It was just a bad connection. We're good like that, but if I mess with it a little bit, it comes in and out.
Make your case if they know they can help.
802. Okay, so there's a good channel. I'm going to loosen it. Hear out the background noise. I don't know. It's like it's leaving the audio, but it's getting rid of all of that noise. I mean, do we want that or what? I don't know.
My service in the Army National Guard allows me to keep my community and those I care about. This country.
We need 650 WSM real bad. Real bad. That may be it, but yeah, that
Take on Denver out in mile.
it won't ever tell me the call sign because it's ESPN radio, so it's syndicated.
Young stars realize their dreams in the final round.
But I'd like to know what that's in. Over there it was 700. So if that's 700 and way over here is 500, how does that work?
Look at him buy some time. Look at him anticipate some drills and just you come away thinking, wow, he was a weapon for Georgia. Plus fireworks all across MLB. There's the pitch. They're going to swing a fly ball out to left. Hit Garrett back, and there it goes. Line drive, home run, Miguel Andujar.
So WSM should be right here somewhere. Oh. That's it. Can't hear it with the dam though. Ernest Tubbs Midnight Jamboree on WSM. So do I try to adjust the IF to get it to tune this damn channel in? Because this is the one I really want to hear. That probably wouldn't be the best way to do it. I probably shouldn't do that. I think I'll try it. Well, it didn't change much. I couldn't get it much better. I just went a little bit one way and a little bit back the other way, and it didn't really change much. You can get it to come in stronger, but it's got all that noise with it.
I'm WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards. Scattered showers and thunderstorms rumbling in through the Sunday morning time frame. Drying out Sunday afternoon with a high of 72. Winds will be blustery, gusting as high as 35 miles per hour. Monday morning chilly with lows in the 40s. Afternoon highs in the low 70s with plentiful sunshine.
Right now it's 62 degrees in Union City, 60 degrees in Duluth, and 62 degrees in downtown Atlanta at 106. More news at 1:30. Breaking news as it happens. I'm Rico Rice, 95.5 WSB News.
95.5 in Atlanta.
8 years to get a diagnosis.
Okay, so that's WSB 750 out of Atlanta, which is a clear channel station, 50,000 watts. Atlanta's about, I don't know, 200 miles from here.
You can love them, walk them, pet them, and care for them, whether they want you to or not.
Where is our sportsman, though?
I totaled just 2 goals while losing the previous.
Oh, it's right next to it. So that we know that's 750.
Waiting for a best friend just like you. And the ESPN app for baseball. How about Mexico City, the venue?
It's got to be like 730. Let me see if I can find it. All right, I've got it. I think I've got it lined up pretty good.
It'll make it easier to work out the main engineering.
This is Unshackled, a dramatizing true life story produced in Chicago by Pacific Garden Mission. Chicago is beloved for its lakefront natural.
Says the suspect is still on the loose. Is believed to be armed with an AR-15 semi-automatic rifle.
Oh no!
They say an 8-year-old child is among the 5 people found shot to death Friday night in the town of Cleveland. Police identified the suspect as a neighbor of the victims. And a man is being sentenced to 4.5 years in prison for his role in the January 6th Capitol riot. Chris Coraggio has more.
Jeffrey Scott Brown.
I think I found the wrong channel.
Officials are urging that rivers are running very high and are extremely dangerous. America is listening to Fox News.
Jason in the House, the Jason Chaffetz podcast. There is always someone doing something stupid somewhere. Dive deeper than the headlines and the party lines as I take on American life, politics, and entertainment. Join me, Jason Chaffetz, every Wednesday as I shed light on the news and make some predictions along the way. You never know who will drop in. Subscribe now on FoxNewsPodcast.com or wherever you download.
Tell us what channel.
Connect to Fox News Audio on the Fox News app. Listen to hear your favorite hosts.
Oh, come on.
Jimmy Fallon and Guy Benson standing up for what's right.
Yeah.
Via podcast. Just click listen. Then swipe right and hear the latest news updates on your time. And scroll down to hear the latest podcasts from Fox News. And it's even easier to listen in the car with Apple CarPlay and Android.
It's kind of weird how the dial light works, but whatever. All right, so I'm going to do another video on this one. I'm going to use this to hook up. There's like the phonograph input on the back. I've got a little record player that I need to test out, and I'm going to hook it into the back of this one since it's got that handy jack and test that thing out. So I'll do another video on that. And then after that, we'll probably work on a clock or something, or we might work on another radio. I got a whole bunch more than these. These are just the ones I've got giving me a nice little backdrop here, right? So I think we'll call it done on this one, though. I need to see what they used to polish this plastic, too. This is, I think, 1956, so it's not Bakelite, it's just plastic. So I need to see what people use to polish that, if you just wax it, or what they're using on it. So. All right, so there you go. I hope you enjoy it. Make sure to give me a thumbs up for taking the trouble to film it for you. I didn't have to do that, people. I didn't have to do that. I could have just fixed it and had all the fun myself. I kind of did. Well, you get it. So leave your comments below. Let me know what you think. Make sure to check out my brother Donnie. He has a channel as well. If you look down below, there is a link to the My Brother Donnie channel. I work on arcade games, pinball machines, and jukeboxes primarily, but since this is amateur repair time, I figured I'd try to fix an old tube radio. Well, I think I got an easy one, though. I don't think there was much wrong with it.
Hey, Bluegrass and Americana fans, get ready.
ready for the 19th annual Bloomin' Barbecue Music and Food Festival, featuring the Yonder Mountain String Band, Dale Ann Bradley, Rob Ikes and Trey Hensley, Breaking Grass, Sawyer Brown, and more. 20 bands on 3 stages, 2 days of music,
Sawyer Brown,
barbecue, crafts, and fun.
Where's it at?
May 19th and 20th, downtown Sevierville, Tennessee.
Sevierville.
BlumenBBQ.com for details. That's BlumenBBQ.com. Don't miss it.
I've been using GHS strings since I started playing music full-time, some 30 years ago.
Chris Jones for GHS Strings.
How cool is this?
Tone is so important to a bluegrass musician, and GHS strings have consistently delivered the tone I need on stage and in the studio.
Use GHS strings for the passion, power, and performance in your music. And check out Chris Jones and the Night Drivers at chrisjonesmusic.com. Enter now for a chance to see the Tractor Supply Emerging Artists perform live.
So we're listening to an AM radio station out of Nashville. That's a clear channel station, so it's powerful. And they're running commercials advertising guitar strings to banjo players. The cool's almost too much on a 1956 radio too. Oh, it's almost too much. So, well, Joey and I work on arcade games, pinball machines, and jukeboxes, and my brother Donnie works on old buildings, old vehicles, and he has a farm with cows and goats. So go check out his channel. I'm over there with him today. We were filming some stuff earlier, working on one of our buildings. So we enjoyed it. I'm gonna call this one finished. Worked out pretty good. But I'll see you on the next video.